Boxing is a really complicated sport. It has multiple layers. First, there is boxers, the most important person in that layer. Then there are promoters whose livelihood is dependent upon the boxers. Then there are promotional companies. A promoter can be manager as well, and they can deal with a senior promotional companies like Samson Lukowich, David Benavides promoter. He does not have his own promotional company like PBC or Top Rank. He worked through those major promoters, right? Then there are broadcasters who work through the big promotional companies. So, and on top of that, boxers, promoters, and the big promotional companies, they have tie up with the organizations who act as governing bodies in boxing, who has their belt, and the boxers in every weight division fight for those belts. There are four major organizations acting as governing bodies such as WBC, WBO, IBF, and WBA. There is another IBO, but it is not considered as a major governing bodies. But if you look at the lineages of all those four governing bodies in current time, worst of them is WBA. And every governing body have a different kind of relationship with a different promoter. WBA has really good relationship with PBC. WBO has really good relationship with Top Rank. WBC only looks for great fighters, great champions who make superstars like Canelo, Floyd Mayweather, right, Tyson Fury, and IBF. They work with everybody. They are one of the most fair organization in all of them. Their mandatory fight happens regularly, but they make some stupid decisions as well. And they have some weird rule set like rehydration clause. If a champion is fighting for a IBF belt, he has to be have a rehydration clause of 10 pounds. So that's stupid, but it is what it is. But they don't offer their belt like it's just a thing to anybody. So here we'll focus at WBA. Right now in heavyweight, there are two champions. Alexander Usyk, who is an unified champion. He has three belts: IBF, WBO, and WBA. Tyson Fury has two belts: WBC and Ring Magazine. It's not counted as governing body, but it has a huge prestige and great history as well. But there is another champion in heavyweight division, Manuel Charr. And the tragedy about that is there are a lot of great fighters in heavyweight division. I'll name some: Andy Ruiz, Joseph Parker, Philip Hergovich, Joe Joyce, Jared Anderson, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Otto Wallin, Ajit Kabayel, Zhilei Zhang. But Manuel Charr is WBA regular champion. And there is Daniel Dubois as well. Then you would be asking, definitely Manuel Charr would be an excellent boxer with great track record. But that's not the case. If you look at the boxing history of Manuel Charr, you'll find that he has never won a single meaningful fight in his career. He fought at cruiserweight as well. He lost every championship fight, every meaningful fight. He lost to Maris Brady, and every fight in cruiserweight that had some meaning, that had title implications. He never fought any legit top 15 contender at heavyweight. His victory at heavyweight was against a 40 plus year old guy who is not in the ranking, Nuri Safari. But he is a regular champion. When I named you 10 boxers, any one of them could have been champion, and it would have bring brought prestige to the belt. But that's not the case. Then let's talk about WBA a little further. The glamour division of boxing, welterweight, they have two champions right now. Terence Crawford has three belts: WBA, WBO, and WBC. Then there is Boots Ennis, who is IBF champion. But there is another champion, Ilimantis Stanionis. He is WBA regular champion. Before Stanionis won the WBA belt, Boots was beating up contenders right and left. He is he has been known as and touted as one of the biggest superstar in boxing. He has more than 90% of knockout ratio. People don't want to fight him. But still Stanionis fought somebody who wasn't well known, who hasn't fought any top 5 contender for the WBA regular belt, and he is WBA regular champion at 147 for a while. It Why not somebody like Conor Benn or somebody like Cody Crowley or even Boots got the opportunity to fight for that belt? At that time, Virgil Ortiz was available at 147 as well. So that's another case. Then come down one division lower, and that's the saddest case in boxing. Super lightweight champion of WBA is Rolly Romero. His first fight at 140 was for a belt. He won the belt via a controversial stoppage, which everybody thought that the belt was given to him. And WBA has an interim champion at 140 as well. And it is the same guy who everybody thought beat Rolly Romero, against whom Rolly Romero had the controversial stoppage. Rolly is going to defend that belt after around 8 months. In that division, there are some really good fighters. Regis Prograis, Jose Ramirez, Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez is there. But WBA never ordered a meaningful fight for Rolly Romero. It was whoever Rolly promoters, whoever Rolly managers decide he is going to fight. Now he is going to fight Ida Cruz, who has never fought at 140. Even at 135, he has never fought at anybody below above top 5 in lightweight ranking. His last best fight was Gervonta Davis, and he lost that fight. After that, he did not had any meaningful fight against a top contender. So that's WBA in the nutshell. Even in case of Gervonta Davis, he had the 135 belt, but he never fought any legit 135er to win that belt. Even when he fought at 130, that was the defense, his defense for 135 belt. So if you talk about relations, like I mentioned, PBC, Floyd Mayweather promotion, they have good relationship with WBA. They offer them belt left and right. There is another champion at super middleweight, David Morrell. He is the most worthy fighter of all the giveaway belt by WBA. David Morrell fought for WBA interim belt when he had only 3 fights. He was elevated to a regular champion after 5 fights in his fifth fight. Since then, he has fought a lot of people, but never anybody in top 5. But out of all of those people who are holding WBA regular belt now, David Morrell is the only one who has great skill set, who can fight against any top contender and possibly win. And he is also a PBC fighter. If you talk about WBC, because of confusion created by the WBC related to franchise belt, even though George Kambosos Jr. paid for his 3% for the WBC belt, he was not considered as an undisputed champion. David Benavidez has fought for WBC interim belt twice. He has won 2 WBC interim belt, but still the undisputed fight against Canelo Alvarez is not ordered. IBF just vacated Jay Opetaia from his cruiserweight title, even though there is no mandatory fight order against any contender for that belt is still vacant. So why would you vacate your most active champion who is going to earn you money through his sanctioning fee? It's mind bending and mind boggling as well. And you'll have to be a scientist, an expert in game theorist, even though you might go crazy if you start to think about the business of boxing. So that's the current state of boxing. And it has been this way for a long time. But as the number of promoters has increased, number of broadcasters has increased, number of managers has increased, the business has become even more complicated. And governing bodies, instead of using their power, their authority, and to stand for every other boxer who has the singular dream of becoming a boxing champion for any given organization, instead of standing for them, ordering mandatory fight at regular interval, they play the game of sanctioning fee. They never order mandatory fight until it is undeniable, until it is too late, or until people are fan are going crazy about that then in that circumstances only it happens, otherwise it never happens at all. It totally depends upon the president of the given governing body and his mood, or how tenacious the fighter boxer is who want to fight for the belt. Sometimes they have to sue the governing body to fight for the championship. So that's the current state of boxing. Boxing would have been a lot simpler if these governing bodies had played their part as they should have been. They would have used their authority, but they haven't. So that leaves a lot of boxers in the dark who are in the contender rankings and waiting to fight for their first championship title. Like somebody like Jack Catterall, who is almost forgotten. Nobody talks about him. He fought for undisputed title. Everybody thinks that he won, but he never got to fight for another title again. So that's how boxing is. I hope this beautiful sports get better regulation, better supports from the governing bodies who do their job instead of just thinking about the 3%. So that's all I have to say, and thanks for watching this. Please subscribe and we'll see each other again. Take care.